Alright guys, I picked up another project bike here. This one is a 2004 Kawasaki Concours. But this bike has a bad fuel issue. So we're going to check this out. It does start, but it only runs for a couple seconds till it dies. Bike's been sitting for about 8 months. It needs some good cleaning up. Seat is in great shape. I haven't noticed any dents in the tank at all. The grips all seem good. The switches all seem to work from what I've seen so far, checked out. The fairing's in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and get it off the trailer. And we'll probably do some little walk around on it before I start tearing anything down. Alright guys, so I started doing a little work on this concourse. And backstory about the bike, it will start up but then immediately dies. Doesn't matter what the choke is set on or anything, but it starts, runs for a second, and dies. So I had to drain all the gas out of it because it had a completely full tank of gas. The gas smelled fine, looked fine. So I'm thinking it's a carburetor issue. What I want to do before I tear the carburetors off is I'm going to put my auxiliary fuel tank on it and see if we can get it to run. I did this yesterday, but as soon as I put the auxiliary fuel tank on it and tried to crank it, the battery was dead. So recharged the battery. It has a brand new battery on it, but I think it's just been sitting for a while and drained down. So I'm going to try to hook up the IV bottle to it and see if we can get this thing running and see if it runs on the IV bottle. And I know that some kind of plug in the petcock area of the tank or something in the tank, but let's try this first. All right guys, so I hooked the IV bottle to it and it just will not take any fuel. So we're going to go ahead and pull the carbs. I tried a couple different setups. I know I got this crazy looking T, but I only had a T fitting to go in between the fuel lines, so I had to block one end off. But it's just not taking any fuel. You can see the bottle, it hasn't taken any at all. That's how much I filled it up. So I'm going to go ahead and take these carbs out. We've got a blockage somewhere, or either just the floats. Yeah, we got a carburetor issue. So just going to take this out and we're going to see what's going on. I still don't have a manual yet, so I've kind of seen some videos of how some people suggest taking this carb out, and I'm going to try to remember all their steps and follow it. I think we have to take this fairing off is the best way to do it, this lower section, to pull the carbs right out. So we're going to get started on this and see what we can do. All right, guys, after a lot of wrestling around with this, I was able to get it out of the bike. I did not remove that side fairing piece. I just removed the inner fairing piece. I'll show you here in a minute. I just had these sitting up here. I don't want them to fall. And when I started moving these around, the smell of rotten gas was very strong. Here's what I'm talking about. I just pulled this out. Luckily, the boots were pretty soft. The rear boots here on the airbox. So I was able to get it out that way. This fell off of where the gas tank sits up here. But these boots were a little firmer, and I did loosen all the screws. I could go up underneath of them and get all the screws from the right side and the left side. I just took the choke cable off and left it on this little bracket. Just took the bracket out and took the cable off. It looks like these accelerator cables are going to be a lot of fun to get back in. Although I've seen people do it on videos and it makes it look so easy, but maybe it'll be easier without having stale rotten gas pouring out all over me. So we're going to start by taking these bowls off. All right guys, so I drained these bowls, and carburetors 1, 3, and 4, this is the gas I got out of it. You can see the sediment floating in the bottom. So there was junk in this carb. 2 had no gas in it at all. Now that could have been the one that spilled out all over the place when I was lifting it out. But I don't think it was by how much was in the other bowls. Barely any came out when I was removing the carburetor. So we'll have to check number 2 out and see why it didn't have anything come out of it. So I'm going to probably pull the slides and stuff first, and then we'll get into the bowls and start cleaning it, because I've heard you don't want to get any carb cleaner on the slide. So I want to get them out of the way before I start tearing into anything else. So I'm going to clean up my little work area here and get ready to pull these apart. All right, I was thinking these carbs had never been messed with before until I went down the line. I just broke all the bolts, or all the screws loose at the top. And I came to the last screw. This one was all boogered up, and I had to cut a little slit in it. I don't know if you can see there, with my Dremel, and use a flat blade screwdriver to get it out. So it broke it loose. So they're all loose. I'm going to take them out and we'll check the slide. All right, guys, so I got the bowls off. I used an impact driver on each of these screws, just real lightly, just to break them loose, because I knew they were going to be stuck if that one was stuck on top. I don't know if you can see down in the bowls, but there's a lot of debris down on the bowls. And if you look down in this one, this was the one that wouldn't let anything out when I undid the drain, and it's got a lot of stuff packed in the little hole there. I don't know if you can see it where the drain is, and all around the bottom of it. All of them have a lot of sediment in them, so I'm sure that's all pumped through the carb and probably all our problems. So I'm going to continue to take these down, and we're going to clean everything, all the orifices, all the jets, everything really well. We're going to check the float settings. I've got to look that up, see if I can find that online somewhere, and go from there. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this through the ultrasonic or not. I probably will. And I'm not going to break each carb down off the rails. I'm just going to break it down here. We're going to blow it out as best we can, and then go from there. All right, guys, so already took the floats off, taken I call them emulsion tubes, but I think they're called just holders on this, but I don't know if you can see down in there, but it's just full of garbage. On the jet, just full, just packed. So we're gonna get all those out, and I'm probably gonna fire up the ultrasonic, run these things through there and let it break up some of that stuff, and then before I put it all back together. So I'm gonna go through. I went ahead and broke all these loose. I got them loose, and taking the jets off. Use an 8mm on the tubes or holders, whatever you want to call them, and take those loose, and you can take the all out. And like I said, we're going to have to flush this carb very well, make sure fluid's going through all the little orifices, and we're going to have to clean it out really good, and then we'll get back to putting it together. Hopefully we can get this bike running really well like it should. So I'm going to continue just taking these things apart. I expect all of them are probably going to be as dirty as that one, and we'll get it all cleaned up and start putting it back together. All right, guys, so I've got all the floats back on. I put the caps on down here while everything else is in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm not recording everything because I'm almost out of space on this SD card, but we'll get the rest put back together here. All right, got everything out of the ultrasonic cleaner. I don't know if you can tell in there with this lighting, but everything is super clean. I always forget how good this ultrasonic cleaner does. And you can even see the bowls I threw them in because there was so much sediment inside of them, and they're so much better than what they were. Not perfect, but so much better. So we're going to go ahead and put the rest of this carb together. I did check all 4 jets are 125s, so don't have to worry about trying to figure out if one's in the wrong place or not. So we're going to go ahead and slap this all back together. I blew all this out with air to make sure it was all dry and make sure all the holes and passageways are clear. Because what I did before I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, I was cleaning it with just carb cleaner, and it was still just getting so much of that chalky stuff in each hole. And so I was like, I have to do something to get the inside of these clean, and this looks like it did a fantastic job. So let's put it back in the... All right, got the carb all back together. We're gonna get ready to put it back in the bike. I think the hardest part is going to be getting this throttle cables back where they belong. I'm going to heat up all the boots on the intake and the carb side, so hopefully they're nice and flexible and can just jam this carb in and be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and hopefully I'll have enough space on this card to hopefully have it work. All right, guys, as you can see, got her running. Sounded pretty good just sitting here idling. You're going to hear vacuum in just a second when I remove my thumb from this vacuum line. It's revving up pretty good. All right, I'll turn this fuel off. So it's running pretty good. I'm happy with it so far.